The rain was merciless that night. Through his car window, Samuel saw a woman standing under a flickering streetlight, drenched, trembling, clutching a crying baby against her chest. Her nurse's uniform clung to her like a second skin, her face pale from exhaustion and fear. Most drivers passed without slowing down. But Samuel, a wealthy black single father who had known hardship too well, stopped. He didn't know that this chance encounter, a soaked white nurse and her child, would unravel secrets, challenge prejudice, and forever change both their lives. Because sometimes, compassion finds us when the world least expects it. Samuel Carter had built his life from the ruins of struggle. Once homeless with his infant daughter, he rose to become one of the most respected real estate developers in the city. Yet beneath his success lay quiet memories of sleepless nights and empty pockets, reminders of what it meant to be invisible. It was late on a stormy Friday when Samuel left a charity dinner downtown. The night shimmered with rain, the streets half empty, headlights cutting through sheets of water. That's when he saw her, a white woman in scrubs, clutching her baby, standing near a broken bus shelter. Her car sat nearby, hazard lights blinking. He could tell it wasn't just a car problem, something deeper was wrong. The kind of pain that lives behind trembling lips and tired eyes. Samuel slowed, torn between instinct and fear of misunderstanding. He knew too well how society often perceived a black man approaching a vulnerable, white woman, especially alone at night. But something in her expression, that silent desperation, silenced his hesitation. He parked nearby, umbrella in hand, and approached carefully. The rain fell harder, the baby's cries cutting through the storm. She looked terrified at first, but exhaustion softened her gaze. Within moments, he was helping her, offering warmth, shelter, and a calm voice of reassurance. What began as a simple act of kindness would soon entangle both their lives in a story about redemption, hidden pain, and the invisible threads that bind strangers when humanity is all they have left. The drive to Samuel's home was silent except for the rhythmic tapping of rain on glass. The nurse, whose name was Claire, sat quietly beside him, clutching her baby girl close. Samuel noticed her uniform's hospital logo and realized she must have just finished a long shift. Inside his warm home, she hesitated at the doorway, overwhelmed by his generosity. He gave her a towel, offered food, and prepared a small blanket for the baby. His daughter, Ava, now 8 years old, peeked curiously from the hallway. As hours passed, Claire began to reveal fragments of her story. Her husband had abandoned her months ago. She was drowning under medical bills and childcare, working double shifts to survive. That night, after another 12-hour shift, her car had broken down on her way home. She had no one to call, no family nearby. Samuel listened, recognizing his own past struggles in her voice, the same desperation he once carried as a young single father. Yet he also sensed something she wasn't saying. Her trembling hands, the fear that lingered even in safety, told him there was more beneath the surface. In the following days, Samuel arranged to have her car repaired and offered to drive her to the hospital until it was ready. Their friendship grew quietly, founded on gratitude and mutual respect. But as their connection deepened, the whispers around them began. At the hospital, Claire's co-workers, mostly white, began questioning her about the black man picking her up daily. Some joked cruelly, others warned her that it might look bad. The undertone was unmistakable. Prejudice dressed as concern. Claire defended him softly but felt the pressure building. One supervisor even hinted that associating too closely with him could damage her professional image. Meanwhile, Samuel faced his own scrutiny. His business partners made snide remarks, assuming Claire was someone he was, helping for reasons other than kindness. The weight of race, class, and societal perception pressed down on both of them, threatening the fragile friendship they had formed. The breaking point came one evening when Claire didn't show up for work. Samuel tried calling but got no response. When he finally found her at a small apartment across town, she was sitting on the floor, Jobless, evicted, holding her baby, and an envelope that revealed everything. She had been fired. A co-worker had reported that she was receiving financial favors from a wealthy client. The hospital administration didn't even let her explain. It was injustice in its most familiar form, quiet, bureaucratic, and cruel. Samuel, standing in that dim room, felt anger rise in his chest. He knew what it was like to be judged by perception rather than truth. And this time, he wasn't going to let it go unanswered. The next morning, Samuel walked into the hospital. Not as a friend, but as a man of influence. His presence turned heads immediately. The same staff who once ignored Claire's exhaustion now whispered nervously. He requested a meeting with the board of directors. Calmly, he introduced himself. Samuel Carter, CEO of Carter Holdings, and laid out the facts. He presented emails, witness statements, and evidence showing how Claire had been unfairly terminated, based on prejudice and gossip rather than misconduct. The board members shifted uncomfortably. Some avoided eye contact. The hospital director stammered apologies, insisting it was a miscommunication. But Samuel wasn't interested in apologies. He was there for justice. He offered a proposal that silenced the room, a partnership between his company and the hospital foundation, aimed at funding child care support for single parents in healthcare. Under one condition: Claire's reinstatement, full compensation, and a public apology. The board agreed. They had no choice. That afternoon, Claire returned to the hospital. The same people who had mocked her now clapped half-heartedly as she walked in, holding her baby in one arm. Samuel stood nearby, quiet and proud. But what no one knew was that Samuel had seen her file earlier that morning. Among her employment documents was a note, written by Claire, herself during orientation, about a patient she had cared for years ago, a premature infant, born to a single black father struggling to survive. The file had Samuel's old address. It was his daughter, Ava. Claire had once been the nurse who stayed long after her shift, making sure his baby lived through the night. She never knew who he became. Now, years later, fate had brought them full circle. And this time, it was Samuel who was saving her. In the weeks that followed, Samuel and Claire's friendship deepened into something rare, a bond beyond race, gratitude, or circumstance. They spent evenings talking about resilience, about how small acts of compassion can echo years later. Claire's life slowly stabilized. With Samuel's support, she started a child care initiative for nurses, a project that later became one of the hospital's proudest programs. Her confidence returned. Her laughter slowly replaced the tears Samuel had first seen that rainy night. For Samuel, the discovery about Ava's nurse reshaped his entire view of destiny. He realized that kindness, even when forgotten, often returns when it's needed most. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the city skyline, Samuel watched Claire playing with Ava and her baby in the garden. He thought about how prejudice had nearly destroyed something so pure, and how empathy had rebuilt it stronger. The world around them still whispered, some skeptical, some disapproving, about a wealthy black man and a struggling white nurse. But neither cared anymore. They had transcended the narrow boundaries others had drawn for them. Because true humanity doesn't wear color. It wears courage, kindness, and love. As the story of their unlikely friendship spread, from news articles to social media, people began reflecting on their own biases. Samuel and Claire didn't just change each other's lives. They changed how others saw what was possible. And perhaps that's the quiet revolution we all need. Not grand gestures, but moments of compassion that remind us of our shared humanity. Because sometimes, the rain that breaks us is the same rain that brings two souls together. Kindness knows no color, compassion no boundary. Prejudice may divide, but empathy rebuilds. The smallest act of humanity, a stranger stopping in the rain, can rewrite destinies we never imagined.